I was an accidental child, so my parents beat and never loved me. I ran away. Now 8 years later, they want to reconnect. English is not my first language, and I'm sorry if there are any mistakes. So, I, 24F, have spent a good time apart from my parents, and now they want to reconnect. I apologize in advance because this will be a long story. For some background, I'm the last of 3 kids. I'm the youngest. I have 2 older brothers, 34M, 36M. Of course, I wasn't wanted. I was an accident, and my parents never bothered to hide that from me. They didn't care about me at all. Ever since I can remember, they would hit me for any minimal mistake or throw things at me. They would never show me love. They didn't show up at any event, never bothered to help me with school homework. I had to wash my own clothes ever since I was like 8 and cook my own food. At first, I would look at other families and wonder why mine wasn't like that. Until I realized that it was, but I wasn't included. When I was 12, I realized I had to leave. I found my first job. I only worked 3 hours a day delivering newspapers, and I began to save that money to buy the things I needed. When I was 14, I found one that was better, one at a small grocery store that paid more for 4 hours, but I didn't quit my newspaper job. I was busy pretty much the whole day. My friends were the only ones who knew about this. I didn't have love from my family, but I considered them my family. At this point, my parents stopped caring at all about me. I didn't even exchange glances with them, and I spent my time at friends' houses, my job or the basement. I managed to save up quite some money. I bought a few things I needed, like a used smartphone and a used laptop. I explained my plan to my friends and well, when I was 16, they even gave me some money, and they told me to text or call them every day. I had to break up with my first boyfriend. I had to leave my friends behind. I still had a year left of high school, and I didn't have much money, but I still ran away. I admit, I stole some food from my parents' house, and I ended up in a small town in the cheapest apartment I could find. I got a job and I tried to survive, but I knew I couldn't stay there for long. I was a minor and people would start looking for me. A few months later, I ended up leaving that town too. I was 17 by that point, and I knew that once I'd turn 18, I'd be free forever from them. I arrived in another town, got another job, and once I turned 18, I decided to finish high school. Things were really hard, but I managed to make some new friends, get a new boyfriend, let's call him Dean, and a better life than I ever could have imagined. Eventually, I chose to buy a small apartment with my savings. I enrolled into a community college, studied a short career, got a good job, and stayed in the town. Maybe I could have done better if I had a better family, but I don't, and I'm still happy with the things I achieved. Dean and I got married, and now we both have good paying jobs, and we're saving up for the future, since we want to have our own restaurant. Dean's a chef, and even though I'm not, I did work as a waitress for a while and know how things work on a restaurant. With all that long context, I had been receiving calls from unknown numbers for a couple of weeks. Calls I've been rejecting and not paying much attention to. However, since I finally realized it's from the same number, I chose to pick up. I didn't recognize the man that was talking to me, but it was my older brother, Ian. He asked me how things were going with me, and I answered that things were better than ever. He replied that he was glad to hear that. He then began to explain how my parents wanted to reconnect and they wanted to hear from me. I refused completely. I told him that they were dead to me, and when he kept insisting, I hung up. They have been insisting for months. I blocked multiple phone numbers, Instagram accounts, Twitter accounts, and emails. But it's just not enough. They keep insisting. I put my accounts on private, but the phone calls kept coming. I ended up changing my number, and I haven't received anything since then. But my friends from home are now telling me that they're bombarding their phones with calls and texts. I know this could be over if I agree to have a meeting with them, but I just don't want to. It's a closed stage of my life. Am I the asshole? Update 1. Well, a lot happened a week after I posted here. I ended up calling my older brother, Ian, and I agreed to meet him at a restaurant in my town. I went with my husband, Dean, and my best friend, Anna. To my surprise, he didn't bring his parents. We talked and he asked why I didn't want to meet my parents. After he insisted, I ended up confessing everything. He apologized for not being able to do anything about it since he was away and didn't think my parents would do something like that. I told him it wasn't his fault and asked why my parents suddenly wanted to meet with me. He responded that he talked with them, and they just said that they wanted their baby girl back. I don't remember a single time when they didn't call me something like little brat, and they didn't understand why I didn't talk to them. I told him that that can't be true, and he ended up telling me he'll try to find out the real reason. Just a day later, Ian called and explained the real reason. After insisting, he managed to get the truth from them. They were in a hard spot financially, and they needed a lot of money, and I don't know why, they believed that I would give it to them. Ian told me he was really offended by this, and he said he would be cutting them off for good because now he's seeing who they really are. He asked me for us to keep in contact, and I agreed. I chose to unblock my parents to send them a voicemail. I basically laughed at them for believing that I would give them money. I told them how awful parents they were, and I sent them an ironic good luck with their debts and with their lives. I advised them not to fuck things up with the only kid they have left, and that they will probably die alone, and everyone will find out how awful they are. I blocked them again, and all I know is that they listened to it, and they were really angry. My friends from home are in the process of filing restraining orders, and they have started to get a bad reputation in the town. Rumors fly in the towns.